Hello and welcome everyone to the Women's Speakers Association, WSA-TV. I'm Laura Rubenstein, digital media and marketing strategist and author of the book, Social Media Myths Busted, the small business guide to online revenue. We have a fabulous show today. It's all about how to reinvent yourself, and I've got experts that I want to hop on with right now and introduce you to get their wisdom on reinvention and what that means and how to create it. So let's go to Tresa and say hi.
Hi there. Hi, Laura, and everyone listening. My name is Tresa Leftenant. I'm the owner of reinventingher.com. I'm also a financial reinvention guide, and my book that I wrote is Reinventing Her, helping women plan, pursue, and capitalize on their next chapter. So let's talk about reinvention.
All right, well, let's go say hi to everyone and we'll come back to you for that. All right. And Giselle, hi.
Hi, Laura. I'm Giselle Toner. I am a strategic intervention life coach and a yoga instructor, and I combine the best of both of those modalities for women that are ready to step into their power. I have a website called eternityyoga.com, and I live in Naples, Florida.
All right, welcome, welcome. And Mony, hi.
Hi there. I'm Mony Dojeiji, coming to you from Canada's capital, Ottawa. I am a pilgrim, storyteller, and author of Walking for Peace and Inner Journey. Looking forward to being on this call on reinvention.
We're glad to have you here. And hi, Alison.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Alison Donaghey. I'm certainly honored to be here amongst such great company. I am from the west coast of Canada, opposite to Mony. I'm on Vancouver Island. It's beautiful here while it's raining. I own Domino Thinking, and I am a thought strategist.
We got the corners of the continents covered here. I'm in San Diego, Florida, and Canada. So it's great to have you all here. And we're talking about reinventing yourself and the importance of that. And your wisdom is going to help women everywhere transform themselves and their lives. So let's get right to that. I'd like to ask you first, Tresa, what advice do you have for people on how to reinvent themselves?
Well, first I'd like to make note that everyone on this call has reinvented themselves. We didn't start, life being able to give advice about this. We gained it by our own experiences, our own transformational work. So when I'm talking to people about reinventing their financial life, I encourage them to be courageous to accept where they are now so that they can determine the starting point and then gain some clarity to take a step forward towards something that you really want. You know, when people ask me what I wanted back before I reinvented myself, I had a hard time. I didn't know what I wanted. So we do need some help in coaching in figuring out and gaining clarity. So that's a step that is important when you begin.
Yeah, and it's a courageous one to get clear, because a lot of times we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we do want. So get clear on what you do want. And Giselle, what would be the next step or next piece of advice you have for people reinventing themselves?
Well, I actually see so many women that have been putting themselves last for a very long time because as women, we're nurturers, we're caretakers, and everyone else comes first. And unfortunately, what happens is we wind up putting ourselves at the bottom and then we are very depleted. So I would say make the decision now to stop accepting less than you deserve, because until you make that decision, nothing will change. And it is very important to realize that you may look wonderful on the outside, but inside you're not really doing that well. So you need to make that decision to really change things.
Wow, and imagine a world of women taking on that, knowing what they deserve and not accepting less. Makes you think. So Mony, tell me, what is your piece of advice for reinventing yourself?
Well, for me, it has always been about trying to listen to that inner voice called intuition, called your gut, called your instincts, many names, but essentially really trying to listen to that wisdom that we all have and that we often just simply neglect, and to understand that it really has the power to guide us to what it is that we are truly trying to do in this world, to be of service, to be living our true authentic selves. And then having the courage, as others have said already, to take a step in that direction. And that really has been my journey. I think it's the journey of many, many women and men as well, really trying to understand what their own authentic power and wisdom is all about.
Mm-hmm. And I think you just hit on something really key. When you listen to your inner voice, then you'll be able to take the advice that Tresa had for us on getting clear on what you want, right? And then you'll be able to, once you're clear, do what Giselle said in terms of not, you know what you deserve now. You know you're clear. There's a confidence that comes about with that. And then Alison, how enrich this conversation with the how to reinvent yourself.
Well, as a thought strategist, I always think about our thinking. And what I encourage people to do is to think opposite at least once a day, and eventually it'll become a habit. But if you can suspend your belief for long enough to consider what somebody else may think, you will become more clear in what you actually think. And when you become more clear in what you think, your confidence levels rise and you are able to step out and do those things that you really want to do.
Wow. You know what I'm getting from that? It's the power of listening. Or think, a lot of times when we think we're listening to people, we're not really listening. We're thinking from our point of view. So when you can actually hear or think about how somebody else is taking it on, wow, you get more clear. I love that. I never thought about it. You can get more clear about what your point of view is. So such wisdom here today. So, I want to know a little bit more about each of you, what your work is, who you work with, what are you passionate about doing and helping people, how you help people reinvent themselves. So let's go back to Tresa and see, what are you all about?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been a certified financial planner for over 30 years, and you can imagine how many conversations I've had over that period of time. It's obvious that I would begin to notice some commonalities between people, and especially women. So I reinvented my own financial life in my 40s. I was thousands and thousands of dollars in credit card debt. I was a shopaholic, a 3-time marriage dropout. I was messing up my life big time. And one day I had an epiphany that really all the problems that I wanted to blame everybody else for, it was all me. But that had an empowering aspect to it. And that was that if it was me that created it, it was me that could change it. And all I needed to do was find some help, find some guidance. Interestingly, when I asked the universe for help, I got it. And so now when people come to me or I'm just talking to anyone and I say what I do, a lot of times women say, oh, you couldn't help me because I'm terrible with money. As many times as I've heard that, it fills me with this passion to change that feeling inside for them. Because we can all have financial prosperity, financial abundance. All we need to do is realize if it is to be, it's up to me. And then look for the strategies, look for the guides, look for the processes, which I know all of us have created amazing programs and processes for people, because really it is a kind of a journey that has steps to it that we can all learn easily and have the courage to take the steps.
So do you have an example of how you help someone do this?
I've been so lucky to help so many people, and I think everybody would say the same thing. It's the most rewarding thing in the world when you help someone change their life for the better. So one of my clients, Sally, she was working for a retail company. She knew that she was much smarter than she was showing in her life. And she had a dream of living in a Southern community, an artist community. She came to me crying. Really, she cried through most of her first meeting because she just didn't believe in herself. And I helped her realize that it is a step-by-step process, that she could learn to empower herself, that she could go to the storage unit. She had a storage unit that she hadn't looked in for 20 years. And she had to let go of all of that stuff. And with every single choice she made, she got more empowered and felt better about herself. So it all worked out. She moved to the community, she opened up a new business, and it's funny how the breakthrough seems to just come along the way and everything gets easier. Mute.
Mute, Laura.
Then
There you
it's so thank you. Isn't it amazing what happens when you just make that decision?
Yes, it really is. The power just comes from everywhere, from the earth and from the universe, and from other people show up in your world to help you.
Yeah. So that is a brilliant story, and thank you for the great work you do. I'd like to hear also from Giselle. Tell us about the work you do in the world, who you work with, and what you do for them.
Yeah, well, as far as the topic of today, it's wonderful because when you say reinventing yourself, I can tell you that I really have truly done that because I came from a situation that was a lot less than perfect, let's put it that way. And I grew up with abusive situations, and I really never felt very confident or comfortable with myself and accepted a lot less than I deserved. And so what happened was through the practice of yoga, and really connecting with myself on a very, very deep level, and then getting further training in life coaching, I started coaching women, and I realized that women were putting themselves last and coming from very bad situations themselves, but never really understanding the reasons why or how to get out of it. So through my own process of changing myself and really experiencing true miracles because of the integration of body, mind, spirit, everything else just started to lift and raise within myself and rise within myself. And so I actually started working with women in the same capacity to bring them from the levels of despair and maybe even abuse and getting them out of the worst possible situations where they climbed out of the wreckage and felt wonderful about themselves and totally changed and reinvented themselves.
Wonderful.
Totally.
Do you have an example of how you did that with a client?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my first clients that I had a very long time ago, was probably 15 years ago. She came to me just as a friend originally who was interested in just renting a property from me. She became a client. She loved what I did, and she eventually opened up about the fact that she had a really terrible situation in her life. She was hooked on drugs. She was in a lot of trouble. And she was in total despair, and I mean really at the bottom of the barrel. So with time, and it didn't happen overnight, but in time with working with me, she became the most amazing, I'm going to call her my poster child. She got off of drugs. She stopped smoking. Her marriage was just about done. She rekindled her marriage. And today she actually became a yoga teacher. And her marriage is now the most beautiful thing imaginable. And she's really, I am so proud of her. And every day I do talk to her quite a bit. I'm just excited to really say that I had a really big hand in what happened to her. So
lovely. Oh, what a gift you are to clients, especially those who have been in situations that they found themselves in where it could have gone really badly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for that great work. And Mony, tell us a little bit more about the work you do, who you work with, what you do for them.
Well, you know, I really believe that stories have the power to transform how we think about ourselves and our lives, and carry the nuggets of the life lessons that are, I think, what ultimately lead us towards taking that first step towards change. And so for me, I usually give a lot of presentations. I speak a lot about the experiences I've lived on pilgrimage. And pilgrimage is merely, for me, taking a long journey where you're stepping towards yourself. The steps that you take are taking you, yes, to a location, but they're really leading you inwards. And I use the examples from my pilgrimages on, say, the Inca Trail in Peru, or the Camino in Spain, or walking from Rome to Jerusalem, as the means to pass on certain life lessons, because that was what I believe will just ignite the spark of others to just look within themselves. this is the beginning, is that the story carries the lesson. I don't have to tell you, you do this, because you know what? I was one who was never like to be told what to do. I'm one of those people that's like, don't tell me what to do because you can be guaranteed I'll do the opposite. And so stories became the way, and the lessons of other people, the lives of other people became the means through which I began to learn and to begin to transform and to reinvent who I am. And so the work that I do is to share that vision. And not only I'm sharing my story, because I can't force you to change. I can invite you to reflect on your life. I can encourage you to take a step. I can show you a possible avenue. But ultimately, the power to change is going to be with you. And you have to be the one to take the courage to do that. And to have the courage to re-examine your own story.
So tell us your story in brief, because I know it sounds like you've done so much, but tell us your story, how you came to this realization.
Well, you know, I left the corporate world. I used to work at Microsoft, corporate America and Canada. And for me, it was unfulfilling. And part of it was, this journey was to reinvent who I am, because until I understood who I am and what I believe, I couldn't hope to do something with that. And so for me, it became about rewriting my own story, which is about what do I believe about the world, trying to walk more in openness and curiosity of the world, not in fear of the world, learning to trust my own direction, my own guide, not the experts and outer guides, which are good to have, but my own inner voice and my own authentic voice that was trying to lead me as well. And of course, the biggest thing for me was learning to let go of control. That was the biggest hurdle for me, because I needed, you know, I grew up in the business world. You have your plans, your goals, you check your lists off, which are of course important to have. But at the same time, if I wasn't making room for a little bit of the universe to enter into my life, a little bit of my own magic to come out, how was I possibly going to be inventing anything new or allowing anything new to come into my life? So part of this reinvention was learning to let go of control and to trust exactly where I am, and knowing that the next step will reveal itself to me when I fully embrace where I am now.
Stories, the power of storytelling, and when you trust yourself and you can let go of that control. Oh, all the jewels are there, it sounds like. Okay, so Alison, talk to us about this thinking and what you do and who you do it for.
Thank you. Oh, and I'm such a sucker for a story. I just love them. So thank you for sharing that. I started my house painting company 17 years ago. I was on welfare. I had no idea how I was going to put food on the table, but I knew I could paint. So talk about reinventing yourself. And then throughout that time, people kept saying to me, oh, can you help with this? How do I do this differently? I never thought about it that way. And from that stemmed domino thinking and being a thought strategist. And I'm that person at the movies who says that wouldn't have happened like that, and that can't be like that, and this doesn't make any sense. And through that, I am now working with mid-sized businesses, talk about going with what you know, and working with mid-sized businesses about how they can see what those holes are sitting in their company, and how they can relate to their customers and their staff and their community on a different level just by thinking differently.
Power of thinking differently. I love it. So tell us about a client how you worked with them to help them do that.
Oh, it's tough. You know, the one that sticks with me the most, like there's definitely been businesses that I've helped and gotten them to another level. But my favorite one was somebody who read my book, Change Your Business, Change the World, The Domino Effect of Your Thinking. And she said to me, she goes, I want to review your book. I don't know how to do it though, because my change didn't come through my business. It came from my relationship with my son. She said, we were butting heads all of the time because I want him to follow the rules and he doesn't follow the rules. And I realized he is a domino thinker. And she says, now we have this really great relationship because I know how to communicate with him because I saw the other side. Wow. And I know you got that from my book. That's not what but it is. And it's such a lesson that people will take away from you and learn from you what they hear and what they feel. And we have no control over that. We just have to show up and do what we can do the best that we can do it. And the rest just happens.
Well, yeah, I love that too. And Alison, what you're pointing to is the power of telling stories. You know, you told your story and it impacted her life. and her relationship. And Mony, you talked about letting go of control and taking those steps, just being open to the journey and trusting the process. And what I heard from Giselle and Tresa was about how you took responsibility for your life. It didn't look the way you wanted. You didn't have the experiences you wanted. You could have fell into the victim hole, but you said, nope, if I created it, if I'm here, if I did something to get here, I can do something to get out of here. And that is the whole process of reinvention, what the four of you have just talked about today, from taking that responsibility, letting go of control, looking inwards, and allowing another perspective to be a valid one in your life. Wow. I'm going to put back on the screen here everyone's websites, because for those of you watching today, you definitely want to be in touch with these amazing women and mentors and resources. If anything struck a chord for you today, if there's someone you want to know more about their journey, about their wisdom, about the processes they take people through, and or their books and DVDs and resources, go to their website right here on the bottom of the page, or also in the YouTube description, or on the page you're watching this on right now at WSATV.com. Thank you for your incredible wisdom. I have one other question for you all, and that is, we're here at the Women Speakers Association. We are a robust organization, but I want to know what you all love about Women Speakers Association, or why did you choose to join? So, Therese, what's your...
I'm a recent joiner, and so I'm getting very familiar with the resources, and there are so many ways that I can maximize my goals for speaking. And of course, meeting amazing women like is on this panel. I was at a speaking event a few weeks ago in Vancouver, Canada, and met incredible women. We all can come together and help each other. I mean, that is how we're going to change the world, together, not one at a time. So that's the value I see in being a part of this organization.
Indeed, thank you. And Giselle, what do you love about Women Speakers Association?
I have to say that it is so amazing, the fact that, all of these women that are with me today, we are all of us have a little bit of different, maybe specialties that we do, but actually we're all on the same path. And if it weren't for, your platform and what I'm involved in, with you, I wouldn't be able to collaborate or, really share and get the wisdom and the beauty from each of these women. So for me, it's just a wonderful way to share what I do and also gain the wisdom and the knowledge from these beautiful women. And it's just amazing. I'm really happy to be part of it.
Thank you for being here. And Mony, what brought you to Women Speakers Association?
Well, I'm a new member as well. I've been here maybe like a month and a half, 2 months, and I can tell you that I'm just amazed by the different types of services, not just services in the sense of what we do, but the service that each woman is bringing to the world. I really see that every woman that I am meeting, whether this platform or the others that WSA has, is really transforming the world in her own way. She is bringing her best self, her gifts into the world in order to make this world the world that we all wish to live in. So for me, the WSA has been a phenomenal platform to be able to be part of a community that is going out there to change the world.
And you just beautifully described the mission of Women Speakers Association, to be that global change organization to empower women to do that. So Alison, how about you? What do you love about Women Speakers Association?
I love the opportunity to get to be around people like you. We are the sum of the people we hang out with the most. And right now in this hour, I'm hanging out with the four of you the most. And I think when people can come together in an organization like the Women's Speakers Association, where people are just this much better, and maybe not across the board, but in certain areas, that lets us be that much better. And then the people around us can get that much better. And it's this beautiful uplifting and sharing of services, and the support that I've received so far has just been second to none.
Well, there you have it, everyone. If you're interested in being part of this global change-making organization of women who are creating that transformation around the world and have more impact, and you want to come together in collaboration, as Giselle, you said, please, we have a free level of membership waiting for you at joinwsa.com. And if you want the exposure, visibility, and support like these women are getting on WSA-TV, you can certainly upgrade to the premier member level. But we welcome you at any level. We have a beautiful Facebook group, and we have so many benefits. Go check it out, joinwsa.com. And once again, our beautiful experts here today are available for you for mentoring, wisdom, and input. We will see you next time for an upcoming episode of WSA TV. So bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Laura.